Hello, this is Rex Balakarum with a new video for you today. So I was browsing Twitter today and I entered into an argument with a liberal. And what she was saying, she was claiming that illegal immigrants, which she called refugees, are put in concentration camps at the US-Mexico border. And because I don't think she really knows what concentration camps are or used to be, I'm going to explain to her the difference between immigrant asylum processing center and the concentration camps. What's the difference between the two? Most of you know that I am originally from Romania, which until 1989 was a communist country. So I happen to know a little bit from the history of my country and my own family experience what concentration camps are. Actually in Eastern Europe they were called gulags. And to give an example, in the United States, those who illegally cross the border are called illegal immigrants. They are not called immigrants. They are illegal because legal immigrants, they apply for an entry visa, they apply at the US consulate or embassy in their countries of origin, and they get processed, they get sorted, and if they have valid claims, if they are accepted into the United States, they become legal immigrants. This is what happened with me and my family. We are legal immigrants and US citizens, naturalized US citizens since 2007. Illegal immigrants are the ones that just cross the border, pay a coyote to do it, and cross the border, and they come here, and the United States authorities, they don't know who they are, no background checks are done. They are breaking the law. The first act that they are doing when they are getting into the United States, they are breaking the US immigration law. So let's call them for what they are actually. If you are breaking the law, then you are a criminal. You are not a refugee and you are not an immigrant. You are a criminal alien, an illegal alien. Okay, so let's continue. In gulags or in concentration camps, in the real ones, people, they heard a knock on their door, usually after midnight. They were taken out, like you see in the movies with the Nazis. They were shoved out in vans, transported to the nearest railway station, shoved in cattle cars and taken to these labor camps or gulags, where they were worked literally to death and starved and beaten and left without medical attention, and very few of them, they survived. Among the lucky ones was my grandfather, who survived for 6 years working in the salt mines. His only guilt was because he was taken because he was a capitalist pig, how they put it, because he had 15 acres of land and a convenience store. So he was deemed an enemy of the people. He was sentenced to hard labor and survived for 6 years. After he was released, after 6 years, they only released him because he was too sick, he contracted TB, and he became too ill to continue to work. So basically the authorities had no use for him, they just let him go and die at home. Saved the state some money with the funeral. This is what real concentration camps and gulags are. What they have in the United States, they are immigrant processing centers where the people, they get in on their own volition. Nobody's forcing them to cross illegally the border. They get in, they get medical care, they get fed, and they get to wait until their asylum claim is processed, which can take from a couple of weeks to a couple of months. They get separated from their children, and that is normal because, as I mentioned, the first act they do when they cross into the United States is a crime. Crossing the border illegally is a crime. And any criminal in the United States is separated from its children. It's sad, but it is what it is. And if they decide to return back home, nobody is keeping them. Unlike my grandfather, in the prison camp, there were guards with machine guns. And anybody that tried to get out, they were shot on the spot. Here in the United States, in these immigrant processing centers, nobody's shooting them in the back. And if they want to leave, if they want to return back home, they're free to return. Nobody's keeping them. That's the most important difference between the two. They're also not get worked to death. Nobody's forcing them, nobody's counting them in the morning and sending them in chains to break salt in the mines. Okay? They get fed, they get medical attention, and nobody, absolutely nobody, is forcing them to do what they don't want to do. And as I said, they're free to go. They're free to be reunited to their children or go back to their countries if they don't like the conditions here in this immigration sorting center. Why they need to be kept in there? Because we don't know who they are. We need to sort them out. We need to see if they are not criminals, if they are not rapists, if they are not murderers, if they are not narcotraficantes. This is why they are kept there, because we need to background check them. And I understand you liberals want universal background checks for all gun owners. So I, an American citizen, if I want to go and buy a gun from a store, you want me to have a criminal background check to see if I am able or not to buy a gun. I agree with that. Then why don't you agree with these illegal immigrants to be kept and sorted out and do background check on them until we accept them in the United States? You just want to let them go in even if they are criminals. Why should I submit to a background check as an American citizen to buy a gun, and the guy that you don't know who it is, you don't know if he's a criminal, a rapist, or a drug dealer, you want to let him go on the streets without any background checks? So please explain that to me. So that would be the differences between illegal immigrants, legal immigrants, concentration camps, the real ones, and gulags, and immigrant processing centers at the border in the United States. Second point I want to make is these people, when they come into the United States, they can stop at the nearest, if they have a valid asylum claim, okay, if their lives are in danger, if they are persecuted, if they are in fear for their lives, where are they coming from? Most of them, Nicaragua and San Salvador. Now I understand, these are countries with problems. They are run by narcotraficantes, they have corrupt regimes, people are in danger there. I understand and I completely agree with that. What I don't agree is, these people, if they want to flee, if they are in fear from their lives, they should request asylum in the country that can take them and can ensure the safety that is closer to their border. And what that country is is Mexico. In Mexico, if they cross the border from San Salvador or Guatemala into Mexico, in Mexico they are safe. There are immigrant processing centers in Mexico. They can request asylums there. And this is the international law. All asylum seekers, they should seek asylum in the nearest, safest country to their homeland. And I'm going to tell you another story. During the communist times in Romania and all over Eastern Europe, tens of thousands of people flee communism. In Romania, they had to cross a big river. It's called the Danube. It's a big, very, very dangerous river. And a lot of them drowned. And those who didn't drown, they were usually hunted down, shot in their backs in the water, and let them float down the river by the border guards, by the Securitate, by the secret police troops. They were shot and let float down the river. Some of them, they were picked up and buried into common graves. Those people risked their lives to flee communism. And the few of them that succeeded, what did they do? They stopped in the first country that could assure their safety, and that was Austria. Of course, a lot of them, they wanted to go to the United States or Canada. Okay, those were the lands of dreams. Okay, but did they just jump in the first plane from Austria and then got in the United States, or they swam the ocean and got in the United States without being checked? No. They were interned into immigrant camps in Austria and in Italy, where they were processed and they had their backgrounds checked. It could take anywhere between 4 months and 1 year of internment in those camps. Time in which the spies and the criminals were rooted out, and only those who were deserving of the asylum status, they were granted entries in different countries. But that is not all. That's not all. Because very few of them, they were granted entry in the United States. Only the ones with special qualifications, with special skills, they were admitted in the United States. The rest of them, they were sent to safe countries. They had where there were enough room for them. There were a need for immigrants. Countries like Canada, where the Canadians at the time, they were trying to populate the lands in the north, which are very sparsely populated. They were accepted for immigration in France. They were accepted for immigration to settle in Italy, or in England, or in Sweden, or in Netherlands. Very few of them, they came to the United States, the land of dreams. Okay? And they didn't have any say where they were sent. They were sent where countries needed them, where countries were accepting them. Because you know why? Beggars can be choosers. It wasn't like here in the United States. Some guy from Guatemala or San Salvador just crosses the border into Mexico, gets into a caravan, doesn't stop into Mexico, goes all the way to the United States, commits a crime, crossing illegally the border, and is asking for asylum in the United States after he had plenty of opportunities to do it in Mexico. Why he's asking for, why he's crossing for the border into the United States? Why? Because he has no respect for this country or this law. He thinks he's entitled to come here, to the land of milk and honey. He thinks that we are somehow we need to accept them because I don't know, because they are who they are. Okay, they are somewhat superior, and they are allowed to break our law and get in, and we are supposed to accept them. It's not like that. It wasn't like that when it was communism in Europe. We have the right to accept only those that we consider worthy of coming into the United States. We are allowed to accept only those who have valid asylum claims, and only those who come and knock at our door from Mexico. They go there, they go to the American consulate in Mexico City or wherever in Mexico. They submit an application for asylum in the United States, and they should wait over there for a yes or a no. This is how a lot of Romanians who escaped communism, they did. They went to Austria, and then from Austria they required to be admitted in the United States. On very few of them they were accepted. So I hope you guys learned something today. If you are a liberal, I doubt it, because you're too stupid, and honestly, this is, I probably got a lot of effort today, and you're still gonna buy all the bullshit that you see on TV from the talking heads, from the liberal talking heads. But hopefully, if only 1 in 1,000 liberals understand what I'm saying, I think I got my mission accomplished for today. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, give a like if you like the video, and visit my website, rexvalacorum.com, with 2 L's, rexvalacorum.com. Thank you, and have a